the one thing that I've consistently heard from people over and over again is that we need to make a VTuber convention. We need to create an alternative. I feel like that's where this story is going to head to, but I don't know about a whole lot about this. And Celeste, you wanted to talk about this thing with Offkai. Well, tell me what's going on with this.
It's interesting.
Oh man, where do I even begin? So I actually talked about this last night on my stream, and just a little bit of a backstory. And I don't know if Kisha's ever talked to you guys about it, but she was actually going to do a panel. I don't remember if it was last year or the year before, but they basically told her, nope, no panel for you. I'm assuming based on, drama and stuff, and it being in California, it makes sense that they wouldn't want someone like her, speaking. I think that they've also treated Rev and Strav poorly, and they could probably tell you more about that as well. And so just last week, I think, or when I was down in Atlanta for DreamHack, these guys announced one of their sponsors, and it's Fansley. And there's a couple different ways that you can look at this. I look at it mostly from a religious perspective, but then as a VTuber, this is becoming way too common in the Western side of it, so the English VTubing side of it, and it's they allow minors to be there, with their parents, or if their parents give them permission to be out at the convention by themselves. So, and the worst part of it all is that they're going to be in the exhibitor hall. So it's not a yabai market or 18 plus, somewhere in the corner. They're just going to be out there in the exhibitor hall where anyone can see it. They do have some rules, I'm sure, but it's not clear as to how they're going to, present them.
Okay, real quick, let's back up. What exactly is Fansley? Because I'm not. Explain this to me like I'm an idiot.
Yeah, it's basically like OnlyFans at this point. I think it started off as another way, like I don't want to say like Patreon or locals, but it's become very 18 plus. A lot of 18 plus creators, some big VTubers like Shy Lily, Bao, Project Melody are on there, and they do a lot of loot stuff on there.
Well, you say that, and it's sad that you mentioned that it's 18 plus, because yes, it has actually promoted on this post as, yes, Fansley is the best 18 plus site to find your next Oshi and so much more right here. So this is an 18 plus site going to an all ages event, right? So this would be the equivalent of, if I'm following this correctly, like let's just say DreamHack or PAX partnering with OnlyFans and saying like, hey, all the whores are going to be here.
You want to know some interesting context about this? I don't know if this was mentioned. And I'm not 100% sure if this is the reason, but I'm pretty sure, like if I had to guess. So like Celeste talked a little bit about the Kisha thing, right? About how Kisha was going to go there. So they already lost a lot of goodwill because, everyone, that was not a leftist was like, what the hell? You know what I mean? Like you allow people to go there that have said, all sorts of political messaging. And it's fine if they go, but then now that Kisha's going to be there, now she's a problem, right? Yeah. And then there was one of their big sponsors for like such a long time was a VTuber company called Face Connect, and they also were they were the biggest sponsor of one of the biggest sponsors, if not the biggest, of Offkai, and one of their content creators also got canceled over this, and all of the staff were trying to sabotage their talents, despite them being like one of the big sponsors, right? And
was it Pippa?
It was Pippa, yeah. And so they pulled out, Face Connect pulled out because of this. And so they're no longer sponsoring Offkai, and they're making their own convention, right? For their company where nobody can, sabotage them or anything like that. And I wonder if that's what happened, is they lost a major sponsor and they had a big gaping hole in their sponsors because nobody wants to. Anyone that is on has any sort of anti-Gamergate conservative values doesn't want to support Offkai because of this, because of them scuttling like creators over this, right? And I wonder if that big gaping hole that Face Connect left is the reason why they're partnering with Fansley. They had no choice.
Well, it sure sounds like the big gaping hole can be filled by these OnlyFans models or what? Oh, Offkai, for those who are curious, in 2025, welcome to 6,000. The irony, 6,900 attendees in 2025. Now, you mentioned Kisha as well, Celeste.
Yeah.
This is kind of interesting. This idea that they're going to be out in the open floor. Says, why is this marketed in the exhibit hall instead of the after hours? Is it yabai?
Yeah, like a yabai market. Usually they'll keep it, after hours where most people with kids are probably gone, and they're not gonna, they'll ID people before they go in. But yeah, that's usually
Right.
what they're supposed to do instead of being in the exhibitor hall where anyone else can see.
Well, you can see this. I am between the ages of 13 to 17 years old. Do my parents have to accompany me at the convention or attend the convention? From 13 to 17, minors may attend the convention on their own with or without their parents with written permission from your parents or legal guardian. Permission is obtained by download. Okay, yeah. So if you're 13 years old, you're going to walk in and there's going to be the big old Fansley thing right there with all the Hooters hanging out.
Yeah.
Right there, which is just great to see here. Celeste, you tweeted this out. I'll let you use your own words here. What were you saying here?
So I replied to Offkai and I said, this is something we need to fight against, especially for a convention that will have minors. Allowing sexually deviant VTubers to promote this is not a surprise considering it's Offkai. I pray that they either put them in a faraway corner or drop them as a sponsor. More degeneracy is not what we need in the space or the world. Really, Lord have mercy. So yeah, I think like from a VTuber perspective, like I was mentioning earlier, even though there is no such thing as the VTuber community, there is the culture, right? That stems from Japanese idol culture. And I don't see like Japanese VTubers really doing this. It's very far and few in between. But overall, this like open degeneracy is something that is only really found in Western VTubing, and a lot of normies and tourists, as they call them, have flooded the space. And I don't know, it just seems like unrecognizable from what it was, even like 4 or 5 years ago.
I gotta fight against that logic. Actually, I have to disagree with you. And the reason why is using that logic basically discounts anybody that does not do the idol route in Japan. And there are plenty of VTubers, you included and me included, that almost all of the VTubers that are on side scrollers do not follow the idol route in Japan. So using that as like the reasoning is, I think it's gonna bite you in the ass.
So I mentioned this before. That's one of the things that we've actually been asked about quite a bit is creating an alternative to Offkai. If we were to do something like that, and I don't want to put you all on the spot, would y'all be interested in being a part of something like that?
I absolutely would, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd be willing to back it. I'd be willing to put money on it as well, just because I hate I hate anytime they have control over the culture like this. It's my immediate reaction to just do whatever I can to counter it.
Well, it sounds like we're going into business together, Leaf.
Let's do it.
I'd be willing to be a sponsor too. I'll throw in some money.
Let's go. All right. Well, listen, I know that several people have suggested, and actually the big thing for me is just making sure that we talked about events all the time, right? And this is one thing that they don't have to worry about, but we have to worry about, like, extra security. Like, that is something that is an exorbitant cost, that when you talk about doing any sort of event where people get together, even virtually with like VTubers, the fact that there's so many fans that can get together and have those experiences, you have to account for all those risks. And the cost is exponentially more because of it, because there are so many fucking psychos out there that don't like Celeste or don't like Kisha or, God forbid, don't like Leaflet and are baby making prowess. It's I don't know. I don't get it, but these are things that we have to account for, and that's the reality of the situation. So it is something that we are strongly going to consider moving ahead. So yeah, I guess that's the best way. And by the way, we will not have OnlyFans as a sponsor. I can promise you that.
Please, no.